Hey guys, thanks for clicking on this video. Today we're looking at something a little bit different here. We're not looking at our favorite stock, GameStop. We're actually looking at the S&P 500, and you can see here that it is not quite at all-time highs, but it almost is. This just seems business as usual. The S&P 500 keeps on going up and up, but one of the reasons that this is worrying is because we are actually upon one of the most major events that can potentially happen since even 2008 and before that. This is one of the most worrying events that affects millions and millions of Americans and can cause one of the biggest market crashes that we've ever seen. So what is this? What is the issue that I'm talking about that seems to be detached? I mean, maybe the S&P had a little dip of, a 0.25% to affect it, but the stock market keeps on going up and up and up with no signs of stopping, yet we are on the cusp of something absolutely mad. I can bring in this article, and this is from Bloomberg, and this is Goldman sees 750,000 evictions in the US as bans come to an end. So I'll just touch upon some of the key points here. Landlords going to evict roughly 750,000 US households, and as many as 3.5 million households are behind on rent. Landlords owed as much as $17 billion. The reason for this is due to the eviction moratorium is now over. The Supreme Court have ruled that landlords can evict tenants who are behind on their rent, despite the fact that, as I said before, this is almost 3.5 million households who will be affected. So if we look here, delinquent renters have been able to stay in their homes during the COVID-19 pandemic, but the Supreme Court has lifted a federal ban on evictions last week, remaining that state and local moratoriums are slated to expire later in this year. So this just shows that the numbers are very small at the minute, but could definitely increase over the 3.5 million American households that are behind on rent. I know what would happen in the country that I'm in. If you're behind on rent, you'll be kicked out. So if those 3.5 million Americans are unable to pay their rent, which looks increasingly unlikely due to the troubles with the pandemic, loss of jobs, loss of wages, I think this is going to be quite troubling times ahead. Now, there is an article that I found very interesting. It's called The Great Eviction, The Landscape of Wall Street's Creative Destruction. This is from 2013. So I will say have a look at this in your own time, but I just want to touch upon a couple of key points that I found very, very interesting and are definitely relevant in today. So this is just a small point. Since 2007, the foreclosure crisis has displaced at least 10 million American people from over 4 million homes across the country. So that is a massive amount of people. There's a 1 in 60 chance that any American you would have known has been kicked out their house, and this is from the financial crash of 2008. And if we were to look at this article here, which says new report from Consumer Financial Protection Bureau finds over 11 million families are at risk of losing homes. I once again will put this down below. And if we just look at some of the bullet points here, Black and Hispanic families are twice as likely to be reported on behind on housing payments than white families. 2.1 million homeowners are more than 90 days behind on their payments and are likely to experience severe financial hardship when payments resume. Of these families, an estimated 250,000 are seriously behind their mortgages and are not in full balance, putting them at higher risk of foreclosure. 9% of renters who do not have the same protections and options of homeowners report they are likely to be evicted. 28% of manufactured home residents are being reported behind on their housing payments, compared to 12% of single-family home renters, 18% of residents in a small to mid-sized multi-unit buildings. Outlook is looking very bleak in terms of what's happening with everyday Americans, and this could be one of the biggest crises that could be hitting, could blow 2008 out the water in terms of affecting normal people. And yet again, the S&P 500 keeps on going up and up and up. We don't really want a market crash to happen. We don't want normal people to suffer. We don't want their pensions to go. We don't want their 401ks to go. We don't want them to suffer. But it could be one of the key starting factors in the morass with GameStop. Right, guys, a bit of a different video, a bit more bleak, unfortunately, but I hope you've enjoyed it. Please give a like down below and a comment, and I'll catch you guys next time.